that was because I just didn't listen. I didn't listen to my body. So there's a real consequence here of not listening to your intuition, not going with those soul whispers, and also the effect it has on your body. Like the body holds the wisdom, and it's also a emotional body as well. It's giving us cues. And if we keep ignoring those cues, sadly, I don't want what happened to me to happen to another woman.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Unleashed Voices. I am Harry from Unleash the Wolf Within, and today you're tuning into the Soulpreneurs Series, and I'm joined by Sweta from the Sweta Way.
Hi, Harry. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, you're welcome. So lovely to see you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. It's hot, but not too hot. It's nice and sunny.
We had a lot of rain yesterday, so it kind of cooled things down a bit, which is good. It's good.
Yes.
I like it. It's nice. So tell me, Sweta, what is the Sweta Way? Tell me what has been your journey to get to where you are today?
Big question, hey? So the Sweta Way is my own framework, and it's built based on my expertise and my using the tools that I've learned along the ways. And ultimately, I've always been spiritual. So from a young age, growing up in a Brahmin household, it's not that it was drummed into me, but I was always had like a strong faith. And even from a young age, I felt like I could speak to God and I could have this conversation with God. And I thought everyone could do this, Harry. I thought it was like, this is just normal. And then as I grew up, I realized this is not, and I've got to be in the real world. So there was a bit of a separation then in my identity where there was a spiritual side of me that stayed in one place. And then there was another side of me where when I went into world of work and corporate, where I was in leadership development, consultancy, change management, where that was like my world. And bringing spirituality or woo-woo, I had to be careful of my language, how I bring that in. Because a lot of the work that I did in organizations was creating visions for them. And they're going through change, how to then transition people through change, redundancies, redeployment. So that was my world. And it was at the same time, I've got the cultural thing of I got married and wanted to have a child. And like on the face of it, Harry, life looked good. She's got the nice house. She's got the husband, a good career. Everything looked good.
You tick the boxes, basically.
I was ticking the boxes, Harry. Yeah, everything was ticking. I've got this way of like communicating with God. It was great. But inside, part of me was slowly dying because I was really yearning to become a mother. That was like my biggest heartache at that time. And it just wasn't happening. And I wasn't entirely happy in my marriage either at that time. And it was the turning point in my life was 2016 when I met a shamanic teacher of hermetic philosophy and alchemy. And I don't know why it's such a random thing, but
That's very
it
random.
was really random, but I was just drawn to him. I was just drawn to this person, this teaching. And back then, like Facebook ads kept coming up, and this person just kept coming up on my feed. And everywhere I would look, it was just coming up. And I always used to go with my intuition. I was like, this keeps coming up. This is like the third time I'm meant to go on this person's like training. They were doing like free training workshops. And that was the beginning of my journey, where I remember at the time we just invested in what was the dream car, a Mercedes. I mean, I didn't care anything about it, but it was more for my husband at the time.
Ticking the box.
It was the box, but it wasn't very soul fulfilling. This thing sitting in my driveway, we spent thousands of pounds, and I was like, it's that, or I could invest. And I did invest equivalent of thousands of pounds on a year's worth of training, learning about alchemy, around hermetic philosophy, transformational change, connecting with your super consciousness. I did that for a year solid with this person while I was still doing my full-time
Your corporate.
job. So I was doing the two together. And it was interesting because while I was doing the training, I remember someone that I worked with, they're like, sure, you could have got this funded from work. Because as far as they saw it, it was coaching training, right? So eventually I got half of it funded by my work as well.
Oh, fair.
But it was a real investment in myself. And it was also to become a coach for this company. that I'd trained with. But at the time, for me, I'm very much like, I need to live and breathe these tools. And I did it for a reason because I want to start shifting things in me. And that's when I realized the sense of how I was unconsciously sabotaging myself, the stories I was telling myself, my metaphorical lead. So in alchemy, it's about turning your lead to gold. And it was understanding, what is that for me? What does that look like? And then to be able to really go to quite a dark place. It's a different type of healing where you really come home to your dark side, your shadow, and then use that as fuel to then be like, right, how can I use this now to transmute to what I would truly love, back to my higher self? And that for me was obviously having a child. And it was then connecting to everything that I would love. So it wasn't that that was my only focus. I need to have a baby. Everything in my life changed. So 2017 was the year that everything changed. Suddenly I was like, maybe I shouldn't be leaving my husband now. Things improved in our marriage. I was traveling. I got a pay rise and I got pregnant naturally. But we got pregnant naturally against the odds because when they checked my womb, they saw that there was potentially the cysts that could have been cancerous, and they wanted to
Right.
operate on me at the same time. So this is when I had to really use this training that I'd learned in 2016 on myself. And it was alchemy in the body, where it wasn't just something that I'm like tuning in outwards. It was inside me of making those decisions and being the leader in my life, like making really empowered decisions about my body. And it wasn't that I was being someone said to me once, it's like, "Oh, do you think you were just being stubborn?" I was like, "No, I was going with my intuition." And my
Which
intuition
many of us don't know how to do.
we don't know how to do, but when you kind of tap into that innate nature in you and you have that confidence to go with it. And sometimes and it's all about just taking that initial step. You don't need to have the full blown plan, right? So my initial step was, okay, well, let's wait and see. I don't think I need surgery yet. Let's wait and see. I was always miss wait and see. Can we see? Or what are the alternatives? I'd always ask different questions. I was very scared, Harry, at the time,
Yeah, I can imagine.
on oncology wards, the only pregnant person there, and I didn't have the most supportive partner at the time. It was what it was, right? But it was just getting through it. It was getting through it. And this work, honestly, is the reason why I have my daughter. It's the reason why I then ended up creating my business, right? Which is
Mm.
taking people on that journey of alchemy, of seeing what their lead is, how to then transmute that to what they would love, and particularly engage in the body. So for me, it's the body is so like intrinsic to this piece of the work and my framework. And I learnt more about the embodiment work afterwards, when after my daughter was born, when I went through divorce and separation, I neglected my body. I went back to
Mm.
old school Sweta Way, autopilot. I went to autopilot, that fight, flight, freeze mode. I was in survival mode.
But you would do that naturally as a new mum anyway, that you've got a little human to look after. You're the least of the priority list.
It was very much that. And I remember I didn't know any better. So I was like, I need to get back to work. So I went back to work when she was 8 months old, right? Because for me, I was like, I need to keep going. I just need to keep
Keep
going.
surviving.
I need to keep surviving. I can't stop. I just got to keep going. And I remember making a bargain with my body saying, can we wait until my daughter's first birthday party and I'll get you checked out? I was actually having pain. Can you believe this?
And you ignored it.
I ignored the pain. I ignored the pain, knowing that I got to get it checked out. But I was like, I'll do it after my daughter's first birthday. My daughter's first birthday came. We did the whole pretense of we're together. We weren't together. We were separated at the time, but just for the sake of my daughter, I wanted her to have that occasion. Week later, I was in hospital in A&E. Then I was in surgery. Literally woke up from surgery, and they were like, "We're really sorry. We had to take it over." And that was because I just didn't listen.
You didn't listen.
I didn't listen to my body. So there's a real consequence here of not listening to your intuition, not going with those soul whispers, and also the effect it has on your body. Like the
Yeah.
body holds the wisdom And it's also a emotional body as well. It's giving us cues. And if we keep ignoring those cues,
Mm.
sadly, I don't want what happened to me to happen to another woman. And I think that's why it's so intrinsic of like engaging the body in this, engaging movement.
Mm.
And that's when I trained to become an embodiment facilitator, connecting with body intelligence, somatics. So then it was blending that with alchemy and then meeting another teacher when I went to Greece on a retreat, which again was my intuition just called me to go
Mm.
to Greece in the height of lockdown, which was nuts. Like literally, we went to lockdown in March. I met this woman that she was in Los Angeles because you connect with people from all over the world, didn't you, back then when we were in lockdown? It was
Yes.
Zooms and it was the whole world was in the same boat, basically. And she said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm planning to do a retreat in September. Well, let's see what happens. And she does this intuitive work, but she had a vision. And I was like, I'm meant to be there.
Mm.
And I don't know why, but but I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. But I went there and it was through her that I learnt about the actual how to connect with your super consciousness in your body, how to do
Amazing.
that through movement, how to do that through connecting with nature, how to get back into your feminine creative flow. So it's like all these teachers came to me, and this is where the Sweta Way was born. So it's that framework of that, what I call magic, movement, and transformation. So the magic of the alchemy and turning that metaphorical lead to your gold of your higher self, connecting to your super consciousness, embodying that in your body through movement to move through and ride those waves and get back into your unique creative flow. Because all of us have got our own unique essence of moving
Mm.
through life. And it's finding that. And it was very much like I sway deliberately because it's like the feminine way. So it was bringing the feminine way into the masculine because the alchemical structure is quite a masculine structure, but it's got a lot of freedom in it to create. And it was bringing that all together was the birth of the Sweta Way. So after my divorce and was completed, which a reason why my divorce went smoothly, even though I had quite a challenging personality, I shall say, is because I had this vision, is because I was tuning in constantly and following through on my intuition that it flowed and led to then an amicable divorce. I had a clear vision of amicable conscious co-parenting, which I'm still doing now to this day, and it brings its challenges. It does. But again, this is kind of you ride the waves of life. Life is always going to throw something at you, but
It
it's being
is.
able to.
Life is upside down.
It is always. It's constantly throwing things in at us, but it's then riding those
How we
waves.
manage that.
Yeah, and it is how we manage that, and I think that's why I like to bring realness in my work and when I'm working with my clients, as in, look, I'm not saying I am perfect and that I've got it
Mm.
absolutely all together, but I've got a framework that can guide me all the way through, and this is a framework that I've now lived and breathed for, God, since 2016 now, right? So over 10, coming up to 10 years. And it's what I'm like, my soul wants to now teach this. It's like, I want to teach this way to people that it's not this complicated woo woo thing. It's actually, there's a simplicity to it,
Mm.
of connecting with your body. You just need to learn how and know what's directing you. And then ultimately, as I say to her, I'm not your mum. So then you have a choice. Do you want to still lead from the voice from your lead, from your unconscious self, from your egoic self? Or do you want to lead from your gold and your higher self? Right? So then the choice is then.
Obviously, with Unleash the Wolf Within, I meet a lot of women, predominantly South Asian women. And one of the common things that I find with them is they are people pleasing. So they are always putting other people before themselves.
Yes.
And your story is a complete inspiration because you were forced to listen to your body, even though at one point you didn't listen enough to take the next step. But that's what I find with a lot of the women, that they don't listen to their body, they don't listen to the signs, and sometimes they don't know how to.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, I feel like I had to go on the journey I had to go through and to be able to teach this work. And part of it is there's a shamanic, it's interesting. I learned from a shamanic teacher, and something he said to me is shamanic people, we go through pain ourselves so we can teach.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay. And I never thought that was going to be my journey, but it was. It was like I had to go through that pain to be able to then teach it and to show, look, this is what it looks like. This is what it's the consequences or the early signs of you need to change. And a lot of the time, it's because you're in misalignment of your truth. You're in
Mm.
misalignment of what your soul is truly yearning for. Like you could be going for, I don't know, £1 million house or the Mercedes car or whatever it might be, right? It was as it was back then. But I was in misalignment of my truth. That's not what my
Yes.
soul really wanted. All she wanted was to become a mum.
But when you went on your 1 year training, and obviously you got your company and the corporate company that you were working for, they paid for some of it. At that point, did you know that this was going to be a business that you were going to go down the route of? Or did you even think that you would be leaving your corporate world?
Not at that time. At that time, I thought this was very altruistic. I was like, this is my way of giving back. So I was in that
It's a
world.
different kind of Seva.
Yeah, that I was doing. If you think about it, I was probably giving away free coaching and training, wasn't I, really? Now I look back at myself. But
Yeah.
at the time, I volunteered for this company and they wanted people to do like support people, one-to-one coaching and running their workshops. And that's what it was during lockdown as well. There was no fee to it. It was, we all came together as like, we want to do something while we're in this situation. So it was all about giving back. So the only time the penny dropped for me in terms of this being my business was during lockdown.
When
Prior
you
to
had to go
that,
through the experience yourself.
yeah, yeah, I had to go through the whole thing myself, and until after my daughter was born, I think she was a big catalyst for this. I think my daughter changed my life in many ways, where it was, I talked about being in misalignment of your truth. I think that's when I realized, okay, I'm maybe a little bit off the mark because I didn't really enjoy my corporate job during I was doing it, and I was making very good money, Harry. I could have stayed there. It was so like a nice, easy number.
But you weren't aligned to it, were you?
It wasn't, but I could have stayed in my comfort zone. And this is the challenge a lot of people have. I could have stayed in that comfort zone, good money, security. Life was good. It was okay. I've just become divorced. Finding my way now, the other side of that world. And yet here I am making another change, right?
But the changes will always happen. Like I remember in 2015, I gave up my full-time job and it was the same as you. I was on good money and I had the security and obviously all the experience. People were knowing me in the industry, but I felt undervalued. I felt like there
Mm.
has to be more to this. And I just handed in my notice. I had to give 3-month notice at that time and I took the risk. But I believed in myself, and at that time, I had my mum's limiting beliefs fighting against me. So even though I knew, yes, I can do this and I'm untouchable, and I went through a divorce at that time in
Mm.
2010. So I was like, no, I can do this. No one's going to be telling me what to do. And it was actually my mum's limiting beliefs that made me question myself that actually, can I do this? But I didn't feel aligned to stay in that job anymore. And I knew that there was something bigger. And it sounds like it's a very similar story as to what you went through.
It is, and it's interesting how our parents play a part in this, right? Because
Massively.
the stories that come through, so yours was through your mum, mine was from my dad. Money, money, money. Are you gonna make money? Money, money, money. Not that
And what
he's all
happens
just about the money. Yeah.
when you don't get any customers? Where's your security? And
Yes.
then the other thing that really it makes me laugh now, my mum said to me, she goes, well, you won't be able to find a man to marry because obviously
Oh,
I've been for a divorce. She goes, you won't be
oh
able to
yeah.
find a man to marry because men don't like independent women.
Interested.
Considering my situation now, for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know, I am happily married and have been for 5 years. But it was like my that generation of limiting beliefs, understandably, like based on what they've had to go through coming into
Yeah.
this country and
Yeah.
working damn hard. But we're that generation of taking the risks, knowing that there is so much more out there than just working every hour God gives us, and money, money, money.
Money, money, money. Yeah. It's true because I've come to that same realization. I think with our parents, they lived in a certain world, all right? And it got them to a point my dad, my parents, mum and dad had a different vision, right? And it was something no disrespect, but it was probably like a little bit on a basic needs, right? Like on doing and
It was
providing.
survival.
It was
Yeah, it was definitely
survival, and also they
survival.
want the best for us as their kids and providing for their next generation, right? Whereas
Mm,
with us, I think we've got more options. They created the base so that we could now explore and have everything. And I think, especially with me going through like separation, divorce, becoming a single mom, this was uncharted territories.
mm,
So I was actually leading them.
wow.
The roles reversed because I was like, I'm a daddy's girl, right? This is not something I can go to my daddy for advice. This is something I've got to lead myself through. And I remember my dad saying something as like, wow, like you really got this. I'm like, yes. I think there was like a shock and an admiration for his own daughter that
But
I'm,
yeah, naturally, parents will be scared, right? Especially knowing that their daughter's going through a divorce, and it's what is society going to feel and say, because you have got the gossip masses out
oh, yeah,
there.
yeah.
So it's what are they actually saying? That's the fear that parents of that generation go through.
Yeah, and they're worried, aren't they? They're worried for us, quite understandably. But I think what gives them strength is then seeing. I remember saying to my mum and dad, I was like, "Well, where were they all when this all happened? Where are these so-called people? None of them came to help me, right? So what
Yeah,
does it
and they
matter?"
won't.
And now it's like they're following me on Facebook and then cheering me on, right? So, like, look at Victor, go for it. Whereas at the time when I was rock bottom, who knows what they were saying behind my back, right? So it's almost like we can't live our life of
For them.
what are other people going to think? What are people going to say? If you do, you're stuck in that rabbit hole, aren't you? And it's
And
then,
it doesn't matter. You'll get 10 people standing in front of you. They will all have a different opinion of what you're doing. They will all want to have a say. It's like when if someone's got like a wound on their arm, all of a sudden 10 people are your doctors
yeah,
because they all have an opinion about something. But
it's so
actually,
true.
you've got to be guided with what's going on inside.
You too.
And that's what has inspired me with what you've created. And I've obviously had sessions with you as well, which have been great fun. Um, but you mentioned your daughter. Does your daughter have a massive influence in the way you're leading your business right now?
She does. She plays a massive part in this. When I first started, I initially did it for her because I'm raising a girl and I want her to know that you can follow your dreams and do anything that you want. And I felt I've got to embody that for her to be in that vibe. And also she's a very magical little child and in her own way. And she's like my little cheerleader.
Oh, that's
She
beautiful.
really is like, "Oh, mummy, the Sweta Way." Like, she's really on board with it.
She's your little mascot.
She is. She's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna help," and she thinks she's sometimes helping me with work. "Mummy, I'm not gonna help you with your Sweta Way stuff now." I'm like, "Oh, okay." 'Cause sometimes my assistant goes on strike, and then, yeah, it is what it is, and you can't get the stuff.
Sounds like she's going on strike as well at times.
But she's very much part of my journey. As she's growing, I feel I'm growing and evolving. There were points, I'm not gonna lie, where I felt like quitting and going back to corporate job. This is like the early days, and I was like, "What the hell have you just done?" And I think if we're all honest with ourselves, when you go and start your own business, it does have that dauntingness.
So it's
There's the pull.
scary
It is scary, but it's that pull of, "No, I wanted this." The pull was stronger for me. I think because I had a vision. I had a vision of, I wanna teach this work. I wanna put it out there. And I want to take it as far as I can. And even if it's a piece of legacy and someone then continues this after me, so be it. And I think my inspiration was my daughter, as in, I'm going to write, I'm going to put this out there, I'm going to make it public, I'm going to show up and speak. So even if it's for her, like sometimes I feel like I'm speaking to her when I do these podcasts. I think it's like she can hear me and she can see, okay, mummy can do it, I can do it. It's,
because also you're her biggest inspiration. And I believe in the saying, monkey see, monkey do.
mm,
It's whatever you're doing, she is going to follow in your footsteps.
yeah. Absolutely, because we did it, right? We idolized our parents and we obviously follow them. So I want to, not that I'm perfect, I'm not perfect at all, but then I also want to know like the humanness of it. Sometimes it isn't always great, but there's a way to get through it and to ride those storms.
Mm,
I think that's what I like to teach people is there's a way to move through those storms and use those storms as opportunities.
mm.
That it's actually calling for a change and ride through it rather than hunker down back into the comfort zone of your cave, right? And there's an option. You could do that, to be fair, you could.
Yeah. It's
Or you could
safe.
ride, yeah, it's staying safe and secure, or you could ride through it and something beautiful is waiting on the other side. Something you know you couldn't even imagine that's even better. Like right now, I don't think I could think about going back to my corporate job. I don't even know how I would do it. Right. I recently had someone, I think it was off your group actually. They were looking for an executive coach. And I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
blast from the past. I was like, oh, I could do that. And we ended up getting on a call. And what
Okay.
she needed was the Sweta Way.
Wow.
What she really needed, I was like, look, I can do the executive because, you know, I could do that till the cows come home, right? I could do that. I can help you with what you're doing. And she's like, no, I was drawn to you because she saw my profile on your directory because there's deeper work that you do. And it was taking her on that journey. And I think that's what I realized when I was working in corporate is it's yes, you got your job, but you know, there's the rest of you as well. It's all encompassing of your wholeness. And you can't separate your personal life and your professional life and put them in two different areas. It's like what I did. You know, I kept that spiritual side here and corporate side there. When you create that sense of separation in you and in your body, it's just hurting you even more. Whereas if
But
you,
it's also how you're showing up and what your identity is.
yeah,
Because like when I quit my job, I was like, because my trade is I'm an interior architect. So when I quit my job, it's like, oh, that's Harry. She's the interior architect and she's part of this company. And that defined me. And I was
yes,
like, actually, no, there's so much more to me. And I had to go on that journey to find myself as well. Shweta, I just want to touch base on we mentioned parents and how they impact our views because they have their own opinions based on how they've been brought up and their cultural conditioning. What do you think are the challenges for South Asian women having their own business in the UK?
big question. Okay. The
It just
challenges,
came to me and I was like, you're the right person to ask this to.
I think a lot of the challenges is the competition. How do I look? It's all about appearances. And then you lose a little bit of your authenticity in that,
Mm,
right? And then it becomes what we were talking about earlier, the people pleasing. So the people pleasing may have been like, you know, your parents and stuff, but then it becomes people pleasing to others in the community, to
mm,
others, people even our age, Harry, right? Because then you start comparing yourself. Maybe I should be like this. Was a little bit guilty of that too. I was like, maybe I need to temper down what I'm saying. Maybe people won't get it.
mm.
Maybe I need to put myself in a little box and call myself a mindset coach. You know what I mean? It was, you can box yourself off and not be going fully in what you would truly love and showing up authentically in yourself. And I think that's the pressures. And you want to look, it's all about how things look.
Mm.
And I think that's, it's like, it's got to have a certain image, it's got to be polished. And if it isn't, who wants that? When actually people want real people. Like if it was me and I want support, I don't want someone who's like all polished. I want someone who's real and relatable. And I think we need
100%.
more of that to come through. That bravery of like, look, you're different. You've got a unique talent and gift that's unique to you rather than box it off, make it look pretty before you put it out there or social media or whatever it might be, however you put yourself out there. What if you just showed up as you are, just raw as it is?
And this was the reason why I wanted to create the Soulpreneurs Series because there has to be heart and soul and rawness as to how you got to where you are at the moment. It wasn't like we've unleashed the wolf within. There was no plan to it. It was just by fluke and it's just organically kind of navigated me down this path, but it's actually grown me at the same time. So I've been learning far more than what the ladies in my group actually learned about. And what I find with like networking events as an example,
Oh,
you're networking with business owners and the first question naturally that comes up is, so what do you do? And that's what I want to come away from. I
yeah.
want to have that conversation. It's like, what brings you here today? what what's your story? And having that heartfelt connection, because somehow or another our souls have met before, and that's
Um,
what's the most important. And I think you hit it on the nail on the head with the authenticity, that the honesty, the rawness. That's how you get naturally like navigate the clients to yourself, because it's not because your branding's good, but your branding is really good, by the way. But it's not because
Yeah.
it's an amazing brand. It's because they are connecting to you and your story. And this is why I wanted to use your story to share and put it out there, because someone will hear that, be inspired by your story, and be able to make a connection to say, actually, I want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. And I love what you said there because it's true. When I was starting my own business and going to networking events, it was like, so what do you do? What do you do? And it was that typical question. And it's like going back into the corporate world. What was that? That gave me an identity, right? That's who I was. And now suddenly I'm trying to box myself into an identity when the Shweta Way isn't a box. It
No.
doesn't fit in a box. It's very free. And I almost did try to fit that into a box, and then I'm going into a very inauthentic version of me, and it was like,
Mm,
"Oh, hold on, this isn't true," and I had to find places where c I don't need to go to those events, and I think probably why I resonated more with
yeah.
UWW was it was that, like you said, that fuller connection. So what are you about? What brings you here to I love those questions. There's so much opening. Then, so what do you do? And do your pitch for 5 minutes.
Yeah. 60 seconds.
Well, yeah, and then you've got a timer, and then you've got to do this or whatever it might be, right? And it's
I've
fine.
been there.
Yeah,
I have been there.
we've all done it. We've all done it, and it has its place, and it's good practice. Hey, look, I'm not knocking it. In a way, it's good to kind of get out there and start practicing
Yeah.
what it is that you do and getting that spiel. But it's also nice to have it where you are just free and like, yeah, you know what, this is what brings me here and this is what's going on for me and this is my challenge in my business or this is now where I'm taking things. And you make those collaborations, you meet like-minded people and
Yeah.
especially when you're working on for yourself, as you know, Harry, you
The
then build
lonely
your own
journey.
it is a lonely journey, but you build this little, like, a little wolf pack, right? We get a wolf pack
Yeah.
together and we're coming together. I think that's what's beautiful about what you've created here, is that sense of
Mm,
we're all supporting each other in our soul-aligned businesses
yeah.
and
But
wanting
it's
that to
also
grow.
just our journey as a soul. We're here to grow.
Yes.
And whatever our soul's mission is, and we definitely have had the soul connection because everyone is in each other's lives at the moment. And, we're all helping each other and guiding each other on this soul's journey, which we're calling life. So tell me, Shweta, how do you keep yourself grounded?
So I have a daily practice. So I have to thank my teachers for this. So it's body based, no surprises there. Usually for me, my mornings are quite hectic, school run, it's just literally autopilot. But when I come back, I always come rain or shine, I will either step into my garden or have like the doors all open and I do a routine. So this is where I feel like I'm my mum. So I go around the house with the agarbatti, which is incense sticks.
Yeah.
And I do that and I do my Om Namah Shivaya. So I go around the house and that kind of just brings that sense of cleansing the home, calming down the nervous system, then if the weather is good, I'll step out in the garden or I'll just be on the doorstep. And I do it's a body-based practice where you bring awareness to your body and it's
Okay.
called circling. So and it doesn't take long, right? And you just like circle each part of your body. So you circle your ankles, circle the knees,
Oh,
the hips, and you just bring your way down and circle the arms, the shoulders, even your wrist, even your eyes, like the whole thing right to the top and then I'm just fully aware of my body and I'm present in my body. And then I do my vision statements. So my vision statements are all my soul goals, as I call them. I then
okay.
tune into them into my body every morning, and then I embody them. And then sometimes I get what I call inspired actions from that as well. So which is then like my little baby step of what I need to do towards that. So in a
Mm,
way, that becomes like my little mini to do list. And then I come to work, and then I start my work, and then I come and do my
wow.
if I've got client sessions, I'll start my client sessions, and I'll do that, or if there's room in between, then also I'm doing things for myself. I'm always writing. I love writing. So always that's my way of connecting with God. It's like it speaks to me through the medium of writing. So it's like I have a little dialogue that I go back and forth. and I connect. And even between client sessions, I ground and my center myself. Literally
Mm.
same thing. Like I just get it's takes 5 minutes, just step outside, get some fresh air. I literally just touch the ground with my hands, physical touch, and then I go back in. And then it's the madness of mum life again with my daughter. But it's a constant thing. But yeah, that's my set morning routine that I do.
That's really beautiful. And I think that's a question that I love asking the soulpreneurs because everyone has a different ritual. Mine is so I used to use Palo Santo just to sort of put smoke on it and then just around circle my aura. And something my mum taught me when I was growing up is just something that I just naturally say, which is to mother. And it's basically in English converted to say that thank you for protecting me. You're in front, I'm behind you. Thank you. And then I've got a selenite stick and I circle it around my palms and around my feet to say thank you for removing any people, places, views that no longer serve me.
Love.
And then I just say a few affirmations at the moment, and they're always different. So at the moment, I'm doing some angel affirmations, focusing around abundance. Yeah, so it's just nice to hear what everyone does as a morning routine, or even like before bed routine that sets you up for the day of working as a business owner.
Yeah. I think that's so important. Like, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever
No.
works for you. But it's
Yeah.
good to have something that you do regularly for yourself that keeps you, because ultimately, then what you're doing throughout that day is serving people.
And
That's how I see it. And I'm serving people. But for me to serve people, I need to resource myself.
yeah.
And that's something really important. Actually, who taught me that? It was my embodiment teacher taught me that.
Oh, well.
He said, you can't be going out, you're working with other people's body. What state is your body in? How on earth can you support someone else if your body is like, sort yourself out first? This is probably more my word, sort yourself out, but she's more self regulate. Let's use the terminology. I've got to self regulate, get back into awareness of my body, rebalance, center, and then go in. And then
Mm,
what I do extra to that is then connect back to my higher self. I do the other things which they didn't teach me, but I learned from other places. And then
yeah.
then I arrive. So there's a lot that's going on behind the scene, because otherwise, and I used to do this before, you're just depleted. You just go on from one client call to the next, and you're just gone. You're depleted
Mm,
by the end of the day, because all you've done is give, give, give. When did you receive? When did you resource yourself? And that's a journey, to be fair. Even for me, I'm learning to receive more of myself and doing things for myself, going on solo trips, which we were just talking about,
yeah.
which people are like, oh, why didn't you tell me you were going, Shweta? I would have come with you. It's like, no, there are some things that I want to do on my own.
Got to find yourself.
Yeah. And it's not that I'm being a lone wolf, using the wolf.
Yeah.
It's actually sometimes just need me time, not with my daughter, not with my family, not with my friends. I love you all. And even my clients, I love you all, but I just need me to be with me. And I love being with me. I've kind of
Yeah.
found that in that
I
time,
love it.
just for myself, I'm like, I cherish those moments
Yeah.
to really pour that love into me. So then I'm fully resourced. When I come back, you're getting a different version of me.
Yeah. You're refreshed
Yeah.
and you've realigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love spending time on my own because I also learn so much more about myself. Like after my divorce, and then when I was going on my singleton life, I had to go on the journey of loving myself. I couldn't expect a man to come into my life to love me
Yeah.
if I couldn't love myself. And
100%.
that was that was so now is like I love spending time on my own because I fell in love with myself. I started doing things that I was loving. And I think that's so important, especially for the South Asian community. They don't know what self love is. And that's not just getting your nails done and going
No,
for a massage, it's inside. And we don't do it enough.
no,
I think
you're
we can
right.
have a whole different blog on that completely, right? Different session just on self love and receiving.
100%. I think it's like a little episode on its own,
Yeah.
but it's very typical of us, and particularly for women, I think. It's instilled in us to be the givers, right?
Mm,
Where we then forget ourselves in the process. And I agree with you. It's more than just getting your hair done and the aesthetics of what it looks like on the outside. Are you doing the work on the inside?
mm,
Are you resolving those little gremlins that are sitting in you? Are you even looking at them? Right? Are you given that space where, you if you need to cry, you cry? And it doesn't mean that something's wrong. People are so like scared of being vulnerable because they think then something's breaking.
Yeah.
But it's almost like in alchemy that lead needs to melt. It
And
doesn't
it's a
melt.
release. Crying is a beautiful way of releasing.
It is, because something they say in alchemy, you got to make the fixed volatile and the volatile fixed, right? So the lead is what's fixed, it's your beliefs. We're grounded in that egoic voice. But we need to make that volatile. You make that volatile by melting into that. The power is in the vulnerability, going
Mm,
into your vulnerability. And it means going low for then to see, right, where would I like to go next? See,
mm,
and then make that fix that in your higher self. And that's the alchemical journey. And a lot of people, and it's a change journey, even like in corporate world, it's the change management theory, it's the youth theory, it's in life, right? It's nature.
right.
No two seasons are ever the same, right? My
Mm,
spring last year and spring this year are completely different. But it's then navigating that. But if you don't, you're just going to be caught in the rat race, and life can either just happen to you,
mm,
or you can take the wheels, be the driver in your life and be like, well, where am I leading this?
mm.
What is my vision? Where do I want to take this? What are those next steps? And part of that is also confronting those little gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or whatever that is.
And it's a journey in itself. It's not an overnight fix.
No, and it's probably till we die. Something you said earlier, we're growing and evolving. I believe this is what I think we
Yeah.
both do. You're growing and evolving till the day you die.
Yeah.
Right. So there's
And then
still more.
even still, our soul moving on to the next, its next journey is still going to carry on evolving and
Be even
growing.
beyond us. Yeah. But in this
Yeah.
lifetime that we know that nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent. Look, we're two examples of that, having gone through, separation, divorce, like really things that can really rock you and shake you, but
Yeah.
then using that as our fuel to create something even more beautiful and magical at the end of it. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to show people, that
Mm,
use those moments where things are not great as an opportunity. Use those storms and ride through it. Think, what would I love? And start fueling it, even if it's the smallest thing of just writing down what your dream is. Just do
mm.
that. There was a point, you're not going to believe this, Harry. I used to be scared of like even just putting a post out, right?
Wow.
I didn't write. I used to write to my daughter. I had created an email address for her. I used to write to her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then eventually someone said, well, why don't you set up a WordPress? I'm like, I don't do techie. And it's like, it wasn't that hard. It's quite easy. And then I started writing on there. And even then I was a bit, because I was like, oh my God, who's going to see this? But then I started writing.
It's
And then
that fear of judgment.
it is. And now it's like, well, that was part of who I am. Like, that's
That was
part of my gift, is that it's
yeah.
expressing myself through writing. It's part of my voice, my authenticity. And there I was at one point where I was like, but I took those little baby steps. And I think that's all it is. Start
Yeah.
fueling it, start doing those
Yeah.
little things, and just start remembering what your pipe dreams are when things are all over the place, and use that as your anchor.
Mm.
Yeah, because I know even for you, Harry, you probably had a vision or something and it probably felt impossible, but you were like, you held on to it. You don't tell everyone it because they might
No.
think, this is crazy, girl. What's she thinking of?
Yeah.
But you move towards it. And then obviously then we get there. And now when we get here, then it's something else. So it's not like it stops, then it's
It
something
doesn't
else.
stop.
It
It's
doesn't.
forever evolving.
Forever
Shweta, tell
evolving.
me, what's the best advice you'd like to share to a fellow soulpreneur?
The best advice would be yourself. Don't try to copy other people.
Oh, I love that.
I think there's too much where you're trying to be someone else, especially with South Asians, I see more so.
Mm.
And actually carve your own unique path and do you, and be the trailblazer and just go for it and have your own unique insights, and be open to kind of, don't see others as competition, see them as your cheerleaders,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
Especially
what our tribe is all about.
Yeah, and find your and if and sometimes there are, I'm gonna be very honest, there are some environments where it is gonna feel competitive. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. If that's not for you, come out of that
Mm.
and find that. tribe community, whether it's UWW, obviously I would advocate UWW,
Of course. Thank you.
or equivalent that makes you feel
Yes.
that sense of they get you. Because if you're creating a business from your soul, from your heart and your soul, and you've made the decision already to start on your own, it will be such a shame that you just kind of go back and then shrink that back into a box when
I
I
thought it.
almost did that, right? When I was in the wrong environment, that almost happened.
Mm,
It's fortunate that I was able to steer myself away from it.
amazing. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for taking your time out and sharing your story and the journey to get to where you are. And do you have any final thoughts or final things that you would like to say?
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. Thank you for creating this beautiful space in this community. And I think my parting thought is, hey, people, don't neglect your body and connect to the wisdom that's in your body. And I know there's
Mm,
quite a lot of us, especially that are our healers and light workers, that are working in the space of from our heads and connecting with the highest, the source energy, whatever you might call it.
mm.
But also realize that, look, God's sitting right inside you.
It's inside.
It's
Yep.
sitting here. And they say the body is a temple. So if this is a temple, the temple's there, right? So let's start nurturing that. Let's start tuning in. Let's start connecting with that. And you do that through the body, not by looking outwards. Like, God help me. God
Yes.
save. And if
Right.
you want
It
that,
is
it's just
trusting your
amplifying it.
tuition.
And trust in your intuition, yeah. And then just follow those little baby steps. Just become aware and just start following those little baby steps along the way.
And that's beautiful advice, not just for our soulpreneurs, but for our soul seekers as well. Everyone just navigating on this journey we call life.
Absolutely. It's one baby step or one inspired action at a time, as I like to say.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who has tuned in and watched. And hope you all have a beautiful day.
Bye. Bye for now. Thank you, Harry.